Muddy faces, the war paint of pitched battle in this sport. This badge is worn by those who know the perils of slinging a supercharged chariot down a blinding path. They are gathered in Indianapolis, where today that rekindled spirit also burns with the memory of a fallen colleague, one who shared the bond, one who understood the magic held within 180 feet of sloppy Hoosier soil. From the Indiana State Fairgrounds here in Indianapolis, this is the four-wheel and off-road Jamboree Fall Nationals. The gray, dismal sky hovering over central Indiana underscores the feeling here in the pit area. Perhaps you've heard of the phrase, the racing fraternity. There is a brotherhood of all of us involved in motorsports, and there's a certain sadness today here in Indiana because we've lost one of our members. Mike Hickerson, the co-owner and driver of Mind Games 2, was fatally injured earlier this season. The drivers dedicate this event to him by wearing his assigned number on their cars and on their helmet. The memory of Mike Hickerson lives on. Here's Army Armstrong.
Gary, you know, when the good Lord puts us on earth, we all have a chance to leave something behind us, and Mike Hickerson was no different. Other than the big smile that you always saw the guy with, his company provided the air breathers that are used extensively by the mud racers and truck and tractor pullers all over the country. So anytime you see the M on the front of his mud breather, everybody's going to be thinking about our buddy Mike and that $1 million smile ahead. We're standing in front of a vehicle that Mike was in partners on. It's called Mind Games 2. Kind of appropriate because the driver of this vehicle, along with the rest of the racers, are going to dedicate this race to Mike and to his memory. But, boy, wouldn't it be great if he could win one more time. Back to you, Gary.
Well, there's a shot of the Gambler, one of the cars dedicating this race to Mike. We'll step aside and go racing right after these messages. Welcome back to the Indiana State Fairgrounds competition, just about to get underway here in the Jamboree. And up first will be Steve Barman in chemical reaction. There may be an advantage to going early in the run today. And earlier, Army took a look at this vehicle.
Gary, there's certain things that happen prior to a race everybody kind of looks out for. It sets the tone. For an example, when you see Audis Automotive coming in, you know you got a bunch of New York, some Yankee horsepower here. You hook that up with these guys out of Michigan, the Chemical Reaction 27 Ford Roadster, you know you got a heavy-hitting team coming in, a first-class team that's going the direction of professional mud racing. You're seeing a lot of these people step up with these good-looking rides. Audis horsepower, Mike and Steve Berriman share the driving chores. As a matter of fact, Mike set a world record in this vehicle and is the current national champion in the cut tire division. That's class 5. Today we're going to get a chance to see Steve Berriman driving the vehicle with the scooper tires, and don't let the full body fool you one bit. This guy can run with the rails anytime he wants to. And you know, I ask them how they kind of get their philosophy to life, and they say, well, Mom always told us when we were growing up, if you want to be big and strong and fast, you got to drink your milk. Well, Berriman's on a dairy. They kind of got an inside groove on everybody else. Back to you, Gary.
I'll take a cold glass of milk ice down if you don't mind. Berriman taking on Johnny Angle in the near lane. This could be, Army, a real mismatch.
It could, because Berriman's a traveling pro. Angle comes out a couple times a year, does not run on the national level, but when the light goes green, that could all change real quick. Now Berriman's out big time on it. Look at that.
Woo. Oh, an excellent ride in that left lane through that mud, the second mud pit down there. 2.525.
That sets the tone for what we're going to see for the rest of the day. Johnny went a 369, not a bad number.
Yeah, but a great number for Berriman. That 252 is a national record for 180 feet. So that's Steve's first national record compared to a couple owned by his brother Mike. And let's go back down pit side and talk to Steve Berriman.
Well, if you're going to nail a number, a 25 new national record's got to be a good number to nail. Did it feel like it was that good a run?
Yeah, it felt like it left good. That Audi horsepower just pulled it real hard all the way through. The man built us a monster.
Well, coming up next, we'll have Mark Green in the Mudbuster with that big 540 cubic inch Blown-Alky Rodeck. He'll be taking on Dan Brown, the man who would sure like to win this one for his buddy Mike Hickerson. But of course, for anybody to win, they'll have to go for a national record, Army.
You know, Hickerson and Brown were a unique team. Mike, the guy that we're honoring today, he was always a cut-up guy, the joke-around guy. Downtown Brown, he did just that. He was the guy that drove it downtown, and well, he did it again, Gary. Look at this number.
Excellent ride for both drivers. Let's take a look at the numbers. Dan has a 2.736 in Mind Games 2. And we go over there for Mark at 2.772. Crowd had to love that one, but still not quick enough to knock off Steve Berriman.
Good side-by-side run. Both drivers leave at the same time, and both of them stay up on top of the mud and make a good straight run.
All right, once again, not quite quick enough for Dan, but let's talk to Dan Brown.
Well, the run was good enough to put you in the number 2 spot, and I'll be real honest with you. If Mike was here right now, he'd be saying, well, we should have fattened the motor up a little bit or done something. He still wanted to be a winner, didn't he?
You sure bet you, Army. He was the best there was when it comes to setting motors up and reading the track. We had radio communications. I could worry about driving the car, and Mike could worry about where in the hell to put it.
Well, all the drivers are somewhat concerned about where to put the car at the starting line today as they negotiate that 180 feet of Hoosier sloppy mud. And there's a look at the money pit. Fred Wilhite, another good friend of Mike Hickerson, and notice the unusual helmet, the antennae sticking up from the top of the helmet.
That's not an unusual helmet for this guy. If you knew him, that helmet is right down the alley.
Fits his personality.
Exactly.
Rusty Foster in black and blue, which is what these guys find themselves on a Monday morning after a Sunday afternoon race.
It's amazing the abuse they take in these rides. Only a 180-foot pit. They get jostled around. It's like sitting at the end of a slingshot. It's over real quick. Look at Wilhite. Oh,
notice they're lifting about half track and slamming the throttle again. Wilhite takes that one at 2.793, but still not on record pace. And it will take a record run to win. Rusty at 3.248.
The reason they're lifting a half track, the drivers are actually kicking their helmet visor up so they can see the end of the course. Bonkers. This was named after you, Gary Lee.
Thank you. Mike Camella coming up next in Bonkers. And there's a look at Mike. He stages the 32 Ford Vicky in the far lane, and he'll pull alongside Roger Sherwood in Stressed Out, a vehicle named after you, Army.
That's right. Beautiful little 23 Ford body on these things. These 23 Fords you were talking earlier are really popular in this sport, aren't they, Gary?
Well, they're popular in drag racing as well.
Exactly. The reason it is driver can see all 4 corners of the vehicle, and when you got 4-wheel drive, to me, that would be awfully, awfully important.
Talk about the driver's psyche right now. The gauntlet was laid down, a record run in the very first pass. They know they have to lay down a record run to have a shot at winning this afternoon.
Always remember in this sport, the first run is on the smoothest track of the day. Progressively throughout the day, each run, the track should go away. But yeah, you're right. They do have some pressure. Hey, we got a good run.
Oh, excellent side-by-side competition.
Whoa.
Remember, they're against the clock. He almost gets over in the other guy's shutdown lane. Camella runs a 2.814 in Bonkers in the Ford Vicky. And there's a look at Rogers' 2.696.
Well, he laid a number down there.
Well, number, but not quite quick enough. We take a look again. Watch the near lane.
Good side-by-side racing. I'm loving this, man. These people are getting into it. Look at that.
But he has to drive the car in the shutdown area. Watch, he's off the throttle right now. As the rear starts to slide to the right, watch him fling the mud right here. He gets back on the throttle and then tags the brakes. Let's go pit side. Here's Roger.
You guys aren't too stressed. At 269, that number's good enough for second place right now. Now, the big question is, will that hold or will the track take any more horsepower?
Oh, I think it'll take some more horsepower.
What's it like out there? It looks like it's awful bouncy to me.
It is. The ruts are getting pretty bad starting line.
So the guy in front of you has a whole lot to do with what kind of run you make.
I just kind of took my own path. I got what was just about the last path there.
It is a quick afternoon here in Indy, but look at that. A 2.8 does not even get you in the top 5. Behrman, a record run at 2.525, leads them all. We're coming back with more. Stay with us. The four-wheel Jamborees are part of the Special Events Performance Series. It's a weekend of four-wheel fun. Visit the manufacturer's Midway or check out the Show and Shine competition. Contact the Special Events Promotion Company to find out when a Jamboree will be coming to your area.
Well, Gary, we're trying to get things ironed out here. You know, we were noticing earlier in the day as the rains were coming down, all the drivers were making adjustments. There's 2 basic kinds of engines in this sport. Nitrous oxide engine is what you're looking at here, the Rolling Thunder vehicle. But in the other lane, out of Fresno, California, comes in the big boys, the supercharged engine we're going to be talking about a little bit later, a fellow named Gary Mink.
Yeah, it's Bob Dunham against Gary Mink. Mink in bad to the bone. And earlier today, before the competition actually began, you had a chance to talk to the California Traveler about his efforts in this mud competition here at the Indiana State Fairgrounds.
Fresno, California, the home of horsepower, but it's on the left coast. If you want to find out who's bad in this sport, you got to work your way to the Jamboree. Now, Gary, we're standing with a guy I know you're familiar with, had a top 5 finish last year. Gary Mink, California, long been a hotbed of racing, but it looks like you guys are hunting for places to race now.
Yeah, Army races in California have been a little slim lately, and we've been driving to Idaho and Washington. And if you want to find the baddest of bad, though, you got to come to Indy.
Well, I think he hit that right on the head. If you want to find the bad of the bad, we are right here. It is a bad day weather-wise, but these guys don't care. They deal with mud every time out. Mink and Dunham.
Mink, I like this. This weather, being the humidity as high as it is, it's just
Look
like
at that
being in
run,
California.
Army.
Yeah, like a rocket.
Oh, that is going to be close to the time he needs to take. Oh, look at that, a 2.548, not quite quick enough. That will put him second on the leaderboard. Bob's Rolling Thunder at 9, make it 3.928.
Not a bad run for both drivers. What gets me is all these guys are making good straight runs right now, but there's that supercharged Fresno horsepower we were telling you about, and believe me, it works.
What a shot he laid down. Second now on the leaderboard. Has some trouble, though. There is a dirt oval inside the main oval. He slides to a stop. Let's talk to Gary.
Come on out here, Sumner. You can stretch your legs. I'll give you some numbers. 254.8 puts you in the number 2 spot. I'm going to tell you something. You attack a track. I love watching you race.
Well, thank you, Army. We like to have a good time and make it as fascinating as we can for the crowd.
How about that number? Was it a good number?
I'll live with it. I think that's pretty good. Mike Behrman and their crew, they do a heck of a job. They got a good car.
Well, speaking of good cars, here is the winningest mud racer on trucks and tractor power, Tom Meents. And his opponent today will be David Scotts. He can't be too happy drawing up next to Meents, of course, despite the guy in the next lane who's still racing the car.
You know, David's name of his vehicle is Tickle Pink. He's not. Meeks is sitting in his left lane. And Meeks, man, he runs, he's almost obsessed. He would love to get a hold of this California guy for no other reason than showing that Burlington, Illinois can make more horsepower than Fresno, California. We got bragging rights here, if nothing else.
Mud Patrol right there closest to the camera. Let's see what he can turn down.
I'm impressed.
Good hole shot. Will it be quick enough? Let's wait for the numbers. Tom Meents, no, and he won't be too happy with a 2.823, not even the top 5.
I can't believe that, boy. Normally, he is a player. Meanwhile, David comes out with a 3.35. Not a bad run for him.
Watch again. Watch this hole shot from the Mud Patrol in the near lane. Lights flashing. Good run, but just not quite fast enough to make the top 5. And let's go down and see what his reaction is.
Well, it looked like you were able to get a different kind of horsepower to the ground. The number's not going to be what you want. A 2.8, not going to put you in the top 5, but you didn't bounce as much as the other guys. How come?
I don't know. There was 2 real ruts there, and I tried moving in there a couple times to make sure it was all right. It felt real good. I thought it took off real good, and it felt like a real good run.
Well, indeed, it was a good run. In fact, we have seen a number of these events won with 2.8 runs.
280 is a good number, nothing to be ashamed.
Sure.
But today is just awesome what the horsepower is putting into the track.
I tell you what, we'll take a look there at an appropriately named car. This is Whiplash, and Jerry Schofield, for whatever reason, this Hoosier soil dealing out some very quick runs.
Well, the soil plus the air density, it's been raining and everything. You got a Ford and a Chevrolet battle right now. Osteen rolls out the Florida-based yellow Ford-powered vehicle. He says he can get up there and run with these Chevrolets. Meanwhile, there's a supercharged Chevrolet 23 Ford Roadster in the far lane. We're looking at Osteen looking right. It's like looking down the throat of a cannon here when you get this camera angle looking at these guys.
Well, of course, here's a guy that's a national traveler. He's a veteran of many, many years in both drag racing and mud racing.
Exactly.
And he can certainly develop the horsepower in the early bird. Not a real good hole shot. Did not take off all that well as we take a look at the number of 2.825. Again, generally a good time, but not this afternoon.
It's almost like having the second best looking girl at your prom. Proud of her, but gee, man. Meanwhile,
you
boy,
certainly
Jerry,
have a way of looking at life, don't
well,
you?
You got to be an optimist, you know. Hey, we're standing in mud up to our ankles. It's been raining all day long. We got all kind of horsepower.
And Jerry Schofield has all kinds of mud to negotiate as we go back trackside and talk to Gary.
You guys are getting a ton of mud on you out there. While he's undoing, I want you to go down here with me real quick. Look at this, Gary. This deflector normally would keep the mud away from the vehicle, but they had so much wheel speed up front, it actually bent the deflector back. That's why he's got so much mud on him. You still netted a time of a 282. That's not a bad number considering the condition of the track and the fact that you drew kind of in the middle of the field today. Were you satisfied with that?
Not really, Army. It's capable of going a lot faster, but as bad as the track is getting, we hooked all we could get, and I got mud in my face and had to backpedal a little bit, but We work it out anyway.
Did it feel like a 282 run to you? Mintz was in front of you. He went a 280. He said it didn't. He felt like he went faster than that.
I thought it did too, but that's the way the track is. Evidently, it's hogging us down some. I don't know.
Staging now is Brian Harold in Surf Rat. Now, Brian is running one of those Mike Hickerson air filters.
So Brian does not have to worry about getting mud in his engine like our boy in a previous interview who was getting hogged down with mud all over his face.
And Brian will be taking on Paul Hospenthal, the 1994 NMRO champion in the paddle tire division. And Hospenthal, like Olstein, relies on Ford horsepower.
You know, these young guns have a couple things in common. One, they both drive the 23 Ford fiberglass body, the same type of chassis. But the big difference is Ford's in the far lane, Chevrolet's in the near lane, Gary.
Let's take a look now at the number for No Surrender. Paul turns in a 2.876, and well, the Surf Rat just went over the edge of the board in the pipeline, and he's broke down there in the mud. Quickly, we'll take a look at the leaderboard, and there is Steve Behrman again with that new record, and here is Paul.
A 287, but it looked like you lost a lot of time on the starting line. You set, spun, and then went.
Yeah, it seemed to spin the first 10 foot, and then it hooked and was gone, but we lost her in the first 10 foot.
But the clock starts when you first break the beam, so the first 10 feet cost you.
Yeah, it sure did.
An interesting afternoon. We're coming back with more from Indianapolis. Welcome back to the Indiana State Fairgrounds here in Indianapolis. I want to take a chance now to look at some highlights from earlier in the competition. We had a good matchup between Tony Farrell and Garland Walls, and this shows you the kind of caliber of competition we had here at the State Fairgrounds throughout the afternoon. Tony Farrell's 3.044 and Garland Walls a 3.072. And really a couple of guys that normally lay out some numbers much better than this.
You're exactly right. Garland out of South Florida, normally in the high 2-second range.
Gene Peak, the far lane, and Dirty Deeds almost gets into the danger zone with Ron Smith in top dog. Hang on. And another surprise, Ron Pence Tater, the near lane, cannot crack the 3-second barrier, and he does not find the top 10. Very slow for Ron.
Yeah, past world record holder there, not making the show.
Same went for Mike Yosha. Mike in hyperactive failed to make the top 10.
This is showing us the track is definitely going away, Gary.
And Jeff Ballard, 3 heavyweights not getting into the top 10. He almost gets on his head.
Ballard out of the bluegrass, not working with the underslung chassis the way he wants to.
We are now down to our final pair. Neil Smith in American Thunder. Neil has 2 cars on the circuit, the 23 Alter T and this rear-engine dragster. Jeff Myers pulls alongside.
Now Myers' 27 Roadster looks very similar to the one that set the world record in the very first run. Good run for both drivers. However, the number, Gary, is not going to be there.
Now 2.888, a good number usually, but not this afternoon. And for Jeff Myers, the boss, at 3.021. The last pair starting to stage now back at the start line. And Cliff Camp will be in the near lane, and Chuck Knoll the far lane. But first to the far end, and here's Army.
Well, up until now, the rear motor setup didn't seem to be the way to go, but you look like you got yours handling pretty good.
Yeah, she's coming right along there. We're still working a little bit on a wheel spin on the start line, but she's coming right along on the other end. We can just get the start line a little bit better. We'll be all right. Appreciate it.
Back now to the starting line. It appears there is a problem. Cam pulls off the line. That means that it will have a single pass for Chuck Knoll.
Well, that's a tough break because these guys, they run hard all year long. They get a chance to get on TV. Something breaks on them. Meanwhile, Chuck comes out. He's going to the lanes, but he doesn't have doors on this thing. He literally had his doors blown off.
Good run. He may have taken the doors off for weight purposes, although fiberglass doesn't weigh that much. Look, a good run at 2.826, yet still not fast enough. The standings have not changed from the last time we showed you. Steve was the first out with a national record. He wins it, and he's with Army.
Good run, new national record. I guess what you're telling us all is you drink milk, you go fast.
Yeah, we work hard at it, and Jim Oddie horsepower really helped us this weekend.
Okay, now you and your brother come in here, you swap back and forth on driving the vehicles. He drives cuts, you drive scoops, but the vehicle is here. Is this track just suited for this vehicle?
Well, we've had some problems this summer we've been working hard on. I think we finally got it straightened out this weekend.
Congratulations, new national record. You ought to be tickled to death with that.
Yeah, we're real happy. Thank you.
Well, Steve Behrman, certainly no stranger to the Trucks and Tractor Power program, but he's never fared that well on television. So perhaps he got the TV monkey off his back with the win and the national record here at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. For Army Armstrong, I'm Gary Lee. We'll see you next week on Trucks and Tractor Power. Now here's news of an exciting video release from Diamond P Sports.